carnival time I come out to party. I drinking rum and I drinking whiskey. Plenty people go feel like crazy. I jamming Joan and Emily. In the dance all are wailing. Anywhere in this country. In the dance all are whining. Anywhere in this country.
Drunk and balling, oh boy. Drunk and balling, oh boy. Drunk and balling, oh boy. Drunk and balling, oh boy, boy, boy.
Already arrange a thing with a steel band. Make sure they don't contact social woman. Cause when you get a take to the street, it's only what's it is I must need. In the dance all are wailing. Anywhere in this country. In the dance all are whining. Anywhere in this country.
Drunk and balling, oh boy. Drunk and balling, oh boy. Drunk and balling, oh boy. Drunk and balling, oh boy, boy, boy.
Special warning. Give me plenty room when I pass it. Me go and me head so bad in the hand. Man, this year will be grand. On the dance all are wailing. Anywhere in this country. All in the dance all are whining. Anywhere in this country. Drunk and balling, oh boy. Drunk and balling, oh boy. Drunk and balling, oh boy. Drunk and balling, oh boy, boy, boy. Watch me. Bim, 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 bim. Dup, 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 dup.
This is not politics. Please don't forget, I'm just practicing to be a poet. Not qualified as yet, but have no fear. I'm gonna get there. I'm not in this world to live up to your expectation. Neither are you in to live up to mine. I don't owe no one, no obligation. No one owes me none, so everything is fine, fine. I said I am that I am, I am, I am, I am. I am that I am, I am, I am, I am. I am that I am, I am, I am, I am. I am that I am, I am, I am, I am. business. There is a time for everything, and for everything there is a season. So man and man must reason. So I think it's prime time that we address some more issues. Simple information I will use. No rocket science to get you confused. So relax your mind, make sure everything is fine while I take you down a poetic line. Trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. You now refrain. I remember you say Liberation Day, and I ask, you sure is that you wanna say? Cause you sounded so good to believe. And deception is a powerful thing when you lose your rightful thinking. So we voted for the bling. But you trick us with campaign promises, we won't say a tease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. You now refrain. Yellow, yellow all the way is what everybody say. Cell phone ring, man answering. Yellow, yellow, no hello. Teeth get yellow, house get yellow, bus get yellow, man get yellow, even green get yellow, and so says 11-4. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. You now refrain. Old school parables say you know what you have, but you don't know what you go get. So cherish what you have to diminish regret. But what on earth lasts forever? Not even things created by the great Jehovah. So the green grass ceased to grow to allow the yellow vibes to flow. But boy, once...
And good night to Grenada, Karaku, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it's time for Talking Points. My name is Sheldon Scott. It's now 4 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock on the spine style of Grenada, Karaku, and Petit Martinique.
The way it is, we've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain.
Saying a special good night to all our listeners via the various mediums. Those of you who are listening via YouTube, those of you on Facebook, those of you listening via 91.9, 91.5 Real, 91.9, 91.5 FM.
Then to economic recession, we can't give you attention. Economic recession, the cause.
Yeah, I know, I know, yeah.
Economic recession, no employment for the ordinary man. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. You now refrain. All your projects are stuck in a pipeline. But when asked, how is the country going? Oh, fine. We are looking into it. Never mind. Only projects in pipeline. No water to cool down the yellow temperature. When will they start? Please answer that. Oh, soon. Maybe by the next full moon. Although things are turning at a very slow pace, we now run no race. 5 years is a lot of space. It's just a few hungry people in a place and a few disgruntled green people with their vexed face. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. You now refrain. Busy governing, busy managing, busy politicking, busy neglecting, busy inflicting poverty and hunger throughout Grenada. 1,000 Frenchmen can never be wrong.
Yeah, I know many of you have been sending me messages and asking questions in relation to the Karaku incident. And yes, I can confirm to you that there was an incident in Karaku. The police are investigating. I would not like to go deeper into it. You know, I always like to practice responsibility, especially when disseminating information. What I can say is that, yes, there was apparently, there was a shooting incident in Karaku, and the chairman of the Karaku constituency branch of the New National Party has died. And outside of that, I cannot give much more details. I do not have details. I do not want to go into speculation. I don't want to go into any of that. The bottom line is that we send our condolences to the people of Karaku and Petit Martinique, and in particular the New National Party Karaku branch, and the family of Mr. Randy McIntosh. We send our condolences to him as well. And we know that the Royal Grenada Police Force, very competent, very capable, and they are doing their job. And I'll leave it at that. We have no further information. I want us to avoid speculation. All right? The New National Party is a responsible political organization. Yeah? A responsible political organization. And as such, for the time being, let's avoid, not for the time being, but let's avoid this speculation in relation to this, what has happened. We do send our condolences to the family of the bereaved family. We do send our condolences to them. And again, I will not go into speculation in relation to what has happened. The only things that I can state for a fact is that there was a shooting incident, or at least it seemed to be a shooting incident, and that the chairman of the constituency branch, Karaku and Petit Martinique branch of the New National Party has died. The Royal Grenada Police Force will provide any further information. I can't do that. So the Royal Grenada Police Force will provide any further information in relation to that issue as it progresses. All right? Nice.
And deception is a powerful thing when you lose your rightful thinking. So we voted for the bling. But you trick us with campaign promises. We won't say a tease.
So let me say a special good night to those of you under the live. Angie, Janice, Bernadette, Agnes, Amanda, Michelle, Mayana, Nursey, Onika, good night to you. Let me see, Nicole, Faithlin, good night to you. Let me see, Roberts, Gleason, Jillian, Errol, Eliza, good life, good night to you. Anastasia, Jocelyn, Phyllis, Dave, Marilyn, Anne, let me see, Alcy, good night to you. Antonito, Sherma, Peggy, yeah, good night to you. Gloria, Clive, Beavis, what's up? All right. Kathleen, good night to you. And Carol, I'm seeing you there. I'm seeing Christine. I'm seeing Gavin, as usual. My good brother, Matthew Bowen. A special good night to you, my brother. Yeah, I know. I've seen the message myself, yeah. And I did contact someone in Karaku to confirm the information, and they did confirm it, someone that I can trust. I did contact them, and they were able to confirm that information for me. Wilfred, good night to you. Brother Watts, good night again, sir. All right, Alan Jones, Gertrude Abraham, good night. And Lisha, and let me see who is over on Facebook. We papa, so much people over on Facebook. I wonder if I could reach you all. And Oliver, Sharon, Merrill, Dr. Pancho. I ain't find out hearing you these days. You had to give boy a call. What kind of thing is that? Right, Ellie, right, let me see. Renwick, Charmaine, Denise, Landon, Cynthia, Yoland, Jesse Sherry, good night to you. Sherry, our family over in St. Lucia. I find that's a St. Lucia name. Right. Let me see. Donna is over there. Glennis, Cindy, Kenisha, good night to you. Claude, Joycelyn, Teresa, Jeanette, Red Girl, good night to you. Shemaine, and let me see. Keith, good night to you. Shawnell, and good night to you. Patrick, Shoprite Duncan, good night. Dominic, Claude, Abraham, good night. Vanessa Wallen, Joan Henry, Raphael Joseph, good night to you. Denise, and let me see, Dwight, and I'm seeing Merrill, what's up? Norma, Ruth, let me see, Brave Boy, good night. All of you joining us, and of course I know my good friend Joyce is going to jump in, and let me say a special good night to Patricia and Patty and Matthew out there in Canada. Special good night to both of you. Zingo out there in Brooklyn, good night to you, bro. Kathy Albert, good night, my dear. Hope you're having a wonderful night tonight. Just a special good night to each and every one of you.
Busy governing, busy managing, busy politicking.
Hey, let me say good night to you, Tyrrell.
Poverty and hunger throughout Grenada. 1,000 Frenchmen can never be wrong, but you hold.
Yeah, Tyrrell. Yeah, your neighbor said to make sure and tell you a special good night. But if I call out the neighbor and think people know which Tyrrell are talking about.
The Imanis, less stress on the economy. You and Manchester hold up the country. You didn't see us down by the Bury when they send SSU to between. Trick us with campaign promises. We won't say it.
Interesting, huh? Between yesterday and today, I've been trying my very best to hear what speeches came out of May Day, International Workers' Day, Labor Day, whichever one of the different names you want to use to describe yesterday. I'm trying to find out what the speeches contain, but at this point in time, I've not been able to hear anything outside of the speech, obviously, where someone seems to have fallen into a love affair with me. So they decided that rather than discuss the issues that affect workers in this country, that they needed to speak on me. If they want, and I know they're probably listening to the program tonight, there are many other things that I can ask them to speak on, but because I have not heard the entire speech, I was going to speak on May Day tonight, but I can't. Again, we don't like to be saying things that we can't back up. And I have not gotten the opportunity to hear the full speech of the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers. I haven't heard his full speech. The only piece that I've heard that have been sent to me several times over, I know Junior George usually playing his role, will take it and put it out there and that kind of thing. That's his job. That's what he does for likes and views. You can't fault the man, that's the thing. Yeah? So I still have not heard. I haven't heard the speech by Andre Lewis. I haven't heard the speeches made by the other unions. I haven't heard the speech by Brian Grimes. I haven't heard any of the speeches, which I find to be kind of weird. Usually, on a May Day, you would have a live stream. And on that live stream, you'd be able to see what is taking place and hear the speeches. And so I don't know if it was they didn't do a live stream because they were embarrassed that they didn't have the kind of turnout that they used to have in years gone by, because that many people realize what certain union leaders trying, so they ain't going out as they used to, or that the people just decide, me ain't going in the rally, I go into the gathering at the end. Because that's what a lot of people do. They don't actually go to the march and the thing and all of that. They would go, like they know PWU is meeting here or GTAU is meeting there. They go and they go directly there. Yeah, for the food and drinks and that kind of thing and to hang out. And so I don't know if they were embarrassed due to the turnout. And I can't say that that is the situation because you can't see the turnout because they have put nothing out. I don't know. Anybody that has seen, yeah, I saw where they booed Mr. Brian Grimes. I'll come to that in a while. Anyone that has seen a link where you can see what the speeches contained, please avail me of the opportunity to listen. I don't want to go and just be speaking about because basically Mr. Jude Bartholomew was just speaking about me from what I heard. Yeah? You have the issues of, for instance, pay and grade with teachers. Yeah? That he could have spent some time addressing. He thought probably that it was better to address me. You could have the issue of getting permanent status for many of the teachers who are temporarily within the service right now, as was promised by the NDC administration when they were on the campaign trail. And I didn't hear him calling for that or asking for that. You could say what you want about LL, LL make sure that he get how many teachers get a permanent. And don't think that's the first time that I had my name jumping up in Labor Day. This is something I'm accustomed to. I get that from LL before. In fact, me and Devon Romain get that before. Yeah? And in fact, the same kind of words were being used about what? This union leader is no sellout. Yeah, them kind of same kind of words were being used. So it is not something that I am disaccustomed to. I'm used to that. I know many of you are concerned. You're wondering if I'm taking it on, that kind of thing. No. That's water for duck's back. Yeah? But I wanted to hear if there was any substance to the speech that was given. I wanted to hear if there was any substance to it. So before I can't address a speech that I've only heard part of. Imagine, this is over 24 hours after the beginning of the May Day celebrations and so yesterday. Yeah? 24 hours after all the speeches and so. And you're telling me up to this point in time, the only piece of news that out of May Day was Sheldon Scott. Well, come on, listen, somebody call the GG. Yeah? Call the GG because I probably need to go and sign in as the Minister of Labour. Probably as the Minister of Labour. I don't know. I haven't even heard the Minister of Labour speech. Or maybe the speeches are not worthy of airing. I don't know. Yeah? So if I'm the hot topic, well, maybe workers are all well and happy in this country. So they've decided to discuss me. If that is the issue, I can't tell them they can't do that. That is the people and them right. Yeah? If it's not Mayday, maybe it's Melee. Maybe we had to change the name from Mayday to Melee. Yeah. So it was the Melee celebrations. So maybe it wasn't the Mayday celebrations. Maybe it was the Melee celebrations. Yeah? Some people can't stand it when you expose the fact that they are sellout. But I want to hear the whole speech. I just want to hear part of it. I want to hear the entire thing. I want to hear the other speeches by the other speakers. I want to hear what they had to say. I'm very interested in hearing what the Minister of Labour had to say, because her speech should contain the policy direction of the NDC administration in relation to what they intend to do for workers in Grenada, Karaku, and Petit Martinique. So I really want to hear her speech. I want to hear the speeches of the others. That is what I'm interested in hearing. Yeah, to hear what issues different unions have, what they have raised, what are they interested in. Because other than that, I mean, with the bits and pieces, and I'll say this clearly, with the bits and pieces that I've seen thus far, with what has been placed on social media, what they basically had with the absence of the t-shirts was an NDC rally. So probably all they needed to do was everybody take off the t-shirt they was wearing and put on an NDC t-shirt instead. Yeah? Maybe they needed to do that, because I can't understand. Big Mayday Pass, you're telling me the only issue that they had up for discussion was moi? That was the only thing that you all had for discussion? Workers are so well and fine in this country right now. Everything is okay. According to one individual I was speaking to earlier, it seemed as though that was Old Mass, because the placards, it had more placards than Old Mass does have during Juve right now. Yeah? And the placards were not focused on workers' issue. They were focused on not even the governing party, not even the party that they have to negotiate with for wages. Not even the party that they have to negotiate with for fringe benefits. Not the party that they have to negotiate with for any other worker-related issue within the government service. And even for workers outside of the service by setting the policy through the labor code and revision of the labor code. No. They ain't even talking about them. They're talking about who don't have anything to do with that right now. Yeah? That is who they're speaking about. So as I said, I will be discussing Melee, not Mayday, Melee. We will be discussing Melee. But not tonight, because I haven't gotten the information in relation to it. I whole day I've been looking. I can't see one piece of thing. Yeah? Not one thing I could see. And let me say this as well. I think a lot of people seem to have a problem with politicians being involved in Mayday and so on. But let's just be realistic. The GULP came out of the labor movement. There was the labor movement and you had the GULP. In Jamaica, you also had the union, and then out of the union came the JLP and so on. And you have that sort of thing throughout the Caribbean and different places, that there are trade unions, and from the trade unions sometimes you have the political organization. So I don't see anything wrong with politicians being around those kind of activities, that you have a union activity and you see an MP or you see a minister and so on. Me personally, I know other people may have a problem with it. Me personally, I do not have a problem with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. Yeah? I would just have a problem if there is a situation that under one government, when something is done, when something is done or something is not done under one government, that the union gives one type of behavior. And then when the exact same, or in their estimation, by their declaration, worse is done, they have absolutely nothing to say. Then I have to use words like sellout, and I have to use words like hypocrite. Yeah? If they don't like it, they know what to do. They could block the live from social media. They could not watch me on YouTube. They could turn their radio off and so on. But you cannot say that you're representing the interests of your constituents, because Union leadership does have constituents. The constituents are the workers who pay their union dues on a monthly, well, now it's bi-weekly. Yeah, the union dues being paid bi-weekly. So, who pay their union dues bi-weekly? Some still paying monthly according to the other unions they are in. But who pay their union dues bi-monthly? Yeah? They are their constituents. And trade unions need to always look for what can be considered the best deal for their constituents. So when some people may be upset and say, well, trade unions are acting up, and so I always feel I'm a bit of a trade unionist at heart myself. Yeah? Because I would always like to negotiate for the best deal for the workers, and especially the poor and vulnerable workers. And I think that anybody that truly cares about people would always want to negotiate for the best deal for the workers. But you have to remember something. When you're saying that a government didn't like workers and didn't like this and didn't like that, while your constituents are just the workers who are paying dues to you, and you have to busy yourself and bother yourself with focusing on getting the best deal possible for your constituents, the government has to take into consideration every single other person on the island and then still include your constituents as well. So when they're doing something, it must be reasonable and it must be sustainable. Yeah? Let me say that again. When they're doing something, it must be reasonable and it must be sustainable. Right? So somebody could come and they could say, well, we want 20% over the next 3 years, and that might be reasonable, but is it sustainable? So you may look at it and may say, well, okay, the cost of living is going to rise by what percentage in the first year, what percentage in the second year, what percentage in the third year. That's going to carry us to that. But is it, considering the cash flow considerations, is it sustainable? Right? And what I'm saying now is nothing new, because I've said that when the new National Party was in office. So I don't have to change my story because we're in opposition now. Yeah? But you realize that there are some trade union leaders that have to change their story. And again, I heard the booing of Mr. Brian Grimes yesterday, and that's very unfortunate. Because here was a union president speaking on behalf of workers, just like the people are booing, workers who have been unfairly and illegally treated. Unfairly and illegally treated in breach of the labor code, speaking on their behalf. And people who say that they are supporting workers would boo him. As far as I'm concerned, that means you ain't supporting workers, you're supporting party. And make that distinction clear. Don't put on a t-shirt of a PWU or a TAU or a CIWU or whatever it is. Don't put on the t-shirt and go there to give people the impression that you are a trade unionist when you know full well that you're a full-blown NDC. Just put on your NDC t-shirt with your heart on it and whatever slogan you're carrying this time on the back or the front of it, and go to the activity, same as all of us doing them town hall and thing. Yeah? Don't give the impression that you're going there because you're so into workers' rights and benefits for workers and all this kind of thing. Don't give that impression. Just admit. Stop being a hypocrite and stop thinking that the rest of us out here are stupid or the rest of us out here are gullible. So that you could do these things and then come to give us the impression that, yeah, you so care about workers and all this kind of thing. No, you don't. Yeah? You're just political operatives wearing a union t-shirt. Say it as it is. In the same way that different political parties around the region have aligned themselves, some of them started out of the trade union movement. If you're studying, if you're a student of politics, you would understand that some of the various political parties throughout the Caribbean, yeah, started through the trade union movement. So to say that politicians and trade unionists shouldn't be involved, in my mind, I believe, yeah, there can be a relationship there. And I've mentioned here in Grenada, the Grenada Manual and Mental Intellectual Workers Union. And you know the association with that union with the Grenada United Labour Party. Yeah? You also know in Jamaica, the JLP, and I'm trying to remember the name of their trade union over there. So there are various trade unions that are involved. But don't hide and try to give the impression that you're impartial. That is why I have to be calling out people like civil society right now. That is why I have to be calling them out. Because when we speak on issues here, issues with facts, with documentation, that are much worse than things that they accuse the new National Party of, civil society quiet. Civil society have nothing to say. The Conference of Churches isn't even saying, well, let's at least speak to the parties involved and get them to make a statement or so. They're totally silent. But had it been the other way around, and you see the new National Party in power, and you have government ministers being accused of going in the GDB and taking multi-million-dollar loans, or owing the Treasury back taxes of over $2 million. Had that been a new National Party government minister, you would have seen big protests by the gates. Big protests by the government gates. Yeah? You would have seen marches all over the country, candlelight vigil. You would have seen all kind of things taking place all over, had that simply been a case where it was the new National Party in power. So it seems as right is only right and wrong is only wrong depending on which political party is in office. And I'm saying that ought not be the situation. There are many individuals in this Grenada, and some of them who belong to this Grenada but live outside of it. You can't discredit them. They are Grenadians. The neighbor string bury here. And some of them, the neighbor string even bury here. But constitutionally, the parents own or the grandparents own bury here. So they have a say in what is taking place. But it have many of them who made their voices very loud when the new National Party was in office for things that were not even close to this. But now they have lost their tongue. And I'm saying that at the end of this short period of this National Democratic Congress government, there are many people who will no longer have the moral authority to speak on any issue in this country again. There are many, including some journalists as well. And as I say journalists, let me offer my condolences and the condolences of the Talking Points family to the Grenada Broadcasting Corporation, or, well, Broadcasting Network. They haven't been corporation for very long. That could tell you how old I am. The Grenada Broadcasting Network, on the passing of their managing director, Miss Odette Campbell Best. Yeah? I knew her personally. I could tell you that years ago when I was going to work and I was living in Mount Parnassus, Odette was the one who used to drop me to work every single morning. Yeah, she ain't passing me at all. When she see her walking down the long road, she making sure she give me a lift. And so I know the individual. Yes, we would never always agree. I never always agree with everybody. I don't always agree with everybody. Right? So we'd never always agree. Right? But you always try to remember the good things that people have done for you. Right? And she was a person that did a lot of good things for me as an individual. And I would never forget that. All right? So to the family, yeah, the friends, the GBN family of Mrs. and the media fraternity in Grenada, our humblest condolences from the Talking Points family on the bereavement of Miss Odette Bess Campbell. All right? Nice. And I have to do a short chat with somebody, you know. And let me see if I can reach out to that person now. Yeah, I need to do a short chat with yes, all right. And somebody, you see, that's why I know I have some people there one time. The Bustamante Industrial Trade Union. That is the trade union attached to the JLP. Yes, I remember it. No, yeah, well, not remember it. I was told it, right? The Bustamante Industrial Trade Union. They're attached to the JLP in Jamaica. So I would not be one of the people that run on here and just start talking about, oh, trade unionists are no business mixing with politician and politician are no business mixing with trade unionists. No. Let's just be realistic. If you're studying politics, you'd realize that there is a connection. All right? Nice.
Fine. I am that I am. I am. There is a time for everything, and for everything there is a season. So man and man must reason.
Yes, I'm just waiting for a call. But as I said, I'm going to just talk while I'm waiting on the call. Yeah, there are certain categories of people who are ensuring by their silence in relation to issues like the GDP loan, in relation to the GDP loans, yeah, in relation to the removal of the 150 from the most vulnerable among us by people who added 2,000 a month. So they take out 150 from people a month, but added 2,000 to themselves on a monthly basis, and from all intent and indications are seeking to increase their salary even further. They have not stated any intention to put back the 150 onto the seed program. No intention to increase it maybe past 150, or say, well, give back a 50 and say we're putting it back at $50. No intention of doing that. When they ask the question, they sidestep it totally. Yeah? But while they're doing that, they are fully in discussions to increase their salaries even further. So they already increased their salaries by $2,000, and they did that in a way that they are not going to have to pay any taxes on it. So let's see how they're going forward with this one, because they want to increase their salaries even further. That's what's coming up next, you know.
So cherish what you have to diminish regret. But what on earth lasts forever? Not even things created by the great Jehovah. So the green grass ceased to grow to allow the yellow vibes to flow. But boy, one song I sing, one bell I ring. If we didn't know, we never know yellow would have treat us so. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain.
Yeah, so I'm just waiting for my good friend here to get to a quiet location so they can give me a call. Yeah, you see a typing and thing, they're sending a little message, right? Nice, yeah.
Frustration, past administration, chief of corruption. Then to economic recession, we can't give you attention. Economic recession, the cause of poverty in the land. Economic recession, no employment for the ordinary man. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay.
Yes, indeed, folks. And I do have on the line with me tonight the Honorable Emlin Pierre, Public Relations Officer of the New National Party and the Member of Parliament for St. Andrew South East. Good night to you, Mrs. Pierre. Hello.
Good night to you, Sheldon, and good night to all of your listeners.
All right. And how have you been today? Hello.
It's been a good day. But I want to pause because we do want to express our sincerest condolences to our brother from Karaku. I just received the news of the passing. I trust the source that I got it from because I actually just saw it. And so want to express condolences to family members and to all of the people of Karaku. I want to express sincerest condolences and also want to do the same on the passing of Mrs. Odette Best Campbell, Campbell Best, former manager of GBM, and to the staff and her family members. I also want to extend condolences.
Yes, indeed. Both very sad situations. I know we have all interacted with Mrs. Odette Best Campbell over the years. All of us have had our interactions with her. And, of course, she will be missed by the media fraternity, I know, here in Grenada. I know a lot of people took that news very hard this morning. And then again, now for this latest news out of Karaku. And we could only imagine how our good brother Cox is over there, Senator Cox. So we keep him as well in our prayers and our thoughts.
Of course, all of our prayers are with him. Quite obviously, this must be a very challenging and difficult time for him, but I believe he knows very well that he has the love and the support of the New National Party and the entire membership of the New National Party.
Indeed. Now, Minister Pierre, I was listening this morning to a particular radio station in the north, the city radio station in the north. And I heard you speaking on the Allied Healthcare Professionals Bill. Tell us a bit about that, because we know some new regulations are out. It seems as though some people are not clear. Tell us a bit about that.
Okay, so I want to start, and this is where I want to start. I want to start by saying that I don't believe that the law is the problem. I don't believe so. It's the intention of the law, the purpose for which the law was actually created. I believe there was good intention. As a matter of fact, this started under our administration, right? And so what was passed in Parliament is an addition, an amendment to the Principal Act as it relates to who can be considered allied health practitioners in Grenada, and what are all of those things that need to be put in place to ensure that we lift the standard of the services that are being offered, right? So there are about 45 groups of persons or 45 references to people who fall under that act, right? So, for example, and I think for our conversation or discussion, you want to pay attention to barbers, body piercing artists, cosmetologists, makeup artists, manicurists, massage therapists, nail technicians, pedicurists, spa therapists, beauty therapists, speech and language therapists, tattoo artists, right? So these are people within our communities, within our nation that offer services, right, in the area of beauty and wellness, if you want to refer to it as that. And so this act provides for the registration of these people. All of those persons who are practicing in this particular area, and as you know, many of these persons have been practicing, let's say, from time immemorial. Some people have been in the industry 30 years, and they have not had a situation where they have to now register and to receive a license from the governing authority that has been established based on the Act. Now, a person who has been practicing now has to register, and they have to obtain a license to practice. After obtaining a license to practice, that license can be suspended. It can be revoked. So there's a governing authority, right, which is going to oversee, and I want to make it as simple as possible, oversee the operation of all of these persons in delivering the services, right? Now, what is instructive to note is that these standards that are established are going to benefit both the service providers and it's going to benefit us as customers, right? People who use the services provided. So the law expects these persons to comply with the relevant laws and regulations. Everybody wants that. The law wants them to be governed by standards, code of ethics, right? The law also expects them to offer services based on their skills. So you don't offer a service that you're not competent or qualified to deliver, right? And the law also expects them to maintain high standards in their practice. I believe everyone wants that, right? In addition to that, the law also makes provision for the protection of the customer, the person who is receiving the service. So, for example, before you receive a service, the service provider should inform you of the cost of the service. You know, sometimes we have problems with that. A service is advertised for $60. When you finish, you're told it's $120, and then you have a conflict arising as a result. So the law also makes provision for those things. So you're supposed to tell me up front, what is it costing? And you also need to tell me if there is a possibility that the price may go up based on the challenge or based on the service that you're providing, that you foresee that there can be a possible increase in the price. You don't wait till the service is rendered and I don't have more money in my pocket and you tell me the cost has been increased. So all of those things are great. And I believe the service providers are well in tune with lifting their standards in that. And there are a whole set of different requirements that are listed. And as I said before when I started, I don't think that is the problem. Now, when the law was passed, it made provision for what I would refer to as a 6-month grace period from the time of the law coming into being, or the changes to the law, because it's amendments in most cases. Now, this happened end of last year, and now these people are being told that at the end of June, they should submit all of the requirements to obtain a license. Now, that may sound very simple. But let us look at who we are speaking about. We're talking about in little communities, people who are trying to make an honest dollar, people who have acquired a skill through various means, and they are working extremely hard. Many of these people start very early in the morning, get home midnight, sometimes beyond midnight, because they provide a service. And some of them are struggling. Some of them might just be establishing their client base, right? So we are not talking necessarily about people who are in a position in every case to just respond to a request that they are not receiving in some cases. And some people have said that they were not aware of all the requirements before last week. Now, those persons, what are they required to provide? There's a long list of requirements, And they're saying, and I've spoken to a number of them over the weekend, they are saying the time frame makes it a challenge for them to have all of these things in place. There's a measure of fear, and that fear is because of what the law says will happen if you don't do it. So the law says that if you do not register, you are committing an offense. You are liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding $100,000 or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 3 years. The law also says that if you're not registered and you do not have a license, you're also committing an offense. And that is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding $250,000 or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 5 years.
And that's for cutting hair.
Very well.
That's for cutting hair, right? Cutting hair without a license.
Right.
Or doing hair without a license.
People that I just spoke about, the people who are doing the nails,
5 years in
who
jail.
are doing the hair,
Okay.
The makeup artists, the barbershop service providers, all of these people who have been operating for a very long time without those requirements. We are saying that it is good to have those requirements. It is good. And they are saying that also. But they're saying that it will be very difficult to meet the requirements of the law by the end of June. But there's another side of this. This is not just about the things they have to get, like police record and insurance and all of those things. But it's also the fact that many of those requirements are coming with a cost. So, for example, you have to get indemnity coverage. You have to get insurance coverage. And guess what? That is going to ensure that if somebody sues you now for not providing the service that they expected, that your insurance company will now cover, right? Now, I was told that the minimum possible, based on inquiries thus far, is going to be $1,000 US. And the coverage can be different amounts, right? So, for example, in the legal fraternity, I was told that you can take out coverage for $500,000 or $1 million, right? And the figure varies what you're going to pay for your monthly premium or your annual premium, whatever. So it means the same for them. They're going to now have a premium that they have to pay, and guess what? That service is not offered in Grenada. I was told that service you can access from Trinidad. So these people are saying, look, we are now in the ocean. We told a few days ago that we have to do all of these things by the end of June. And if we don't do it by the end of June, guess what? The law comes into effect. Now, I believe very strongly that something can be done to assist these people, because I know for a fact, Sheldon, that many of them will not be able to meet these requirements by the end of June. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we have to be conscious of, and one beautician said to me, she said, it's more than 20 years ago I got my certificate. This was not an established school per se that might be known internationally, but I went, I did all the requirements, I got my certificate, and it is quite likely that this school does not even operate anymore. So if somebody has to check whether or not that school meets the requirement for accreditation, it means I might be in trouble. So that person would now have to be prepared to go through a process of certification locally with the National Training Agency to get a certificate that says you are qualified, you are competent to provide this service. And guess what? That too will come with a cost. Now, we know that there has been a rise in the cost of living. We know many of these people, while we may have the perception that they make a lot of money because some people, their saloon might be filled with persons, or some people who provide the service may have a line, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are doing extremely well. You ask some of them the cost of their rent. You ask some of them the cost of their products, and they will tell you that it's a struggle. It is a struggle. And in some cases, their services are also seasonal, right? And so I believe it is an opportune time for those in authority to take a look at this situation and to see what can be done to support and to assist these people. As I said, these are ordinary people in many cases, young people trying their best to find a way to make a living, and we cannot apply the law in a way that we did not prepare them. So, for example, how many people know the content of the law? How many people know what was passed? Did we have a period before the passage of the law where we educated people of what will be required? Did we have a period after the passage of the law where we educated these people? Because some people who went to the meeting last week are saying it is the first time that they are hearing some of those things. But guess what? How many people did not go to the meeting last week and have no clue what is happening, and after the 30th of June would now be in a situation where they have to meet those requirements or else? I do not believe that it is fair to these people to swiftly move to enforce this. I do not believe it is in the best interest of our nation to move swiftly to enforce this, because you're going to have a number of people who will not have an option of making an honest dollar. And that is the reality of this situation, Sheldon. That is the reality of the situation. But there's another reality that we want to pay attention to. Now, if a hairdresser, for example, has to now go back to school, so to speak, to become certified, has to be assessed to be certified, and has to pay a cost for that particular service, If that person has to access insurance from a company in Trinidad, if that person has to come up with police record, if that person has to come up with a medical certificate, if that person has to provide other documents that they now have to pay for the service, notarized copies of their certificates and so on, the question we may want to ask ourselves is, who will ultimately pay that cost? Because quite obviously, that hairdresser is in a business. And so if there's going to be an additional cost, I will now have to pass that cost on to my customers. So it means that we are also running the possibility that some of these services, the cost would be increased. And so, Sheldon, I'm making this appeal on behalf of all of these service providers that we relook whether or not we are ready to implement this.
Mm-hmm.
It is possible. It is possible. It is possible that the schedule can be relooked, and it is possible that we can defer certain activities. We can take decisions. I've seen it happen. And then we come back to Parliament to make amendments. It's possible that we can take into consideration the situation with these people. As I said, ordinary people, many of them struggling to make a living, many of them doing their best for years to make an honest income. And I'm saying we should not proceed with the speed at which we are going to put them under this unnecessary pressure. We can extend the period. We can provide a facility where they can access some funding to meet all of these requirements. So, for example, you would definitely have people who cannot get the insurance from Trinidad, who cannot get the coverage that is necessary to meet the requirement of the law between now and the 30th of June. Some of these people have children who are graduating from school. Some of these people have children who they have to send to school. Some of these people have situations of mortgages and other things, and I speak to them all the time. So they have their own struggles that they've been budgeting, and they're working around the clock to ensure that they can meet their commitments. Now we are adding this additional cost to them. Many of them were not prepared for it. I don't believe I've spoken to anybody who say that they don't agree that this should be done. What they are saying is at least hear us out. A period of less than 2 months is going to be difficult for us. A period of less than 2 months is going to be a challenge for us. And so, Sheldon, I make this appeal tonight to those in authority to carefully consider the implication of this move. But there's another side of it, and it reminds me of the data protection bill. You sometimes get this feeling that this is what we're doing and it's that. You get that feeling that we make that decision already, so we can't change it. And I want to encourage that there are times when we have to step back and listen to people. We have to step back and consider the challenge that they face. And we have to be prepared sometimes to say we are not moving forward yet. Let us give them some additional time. Let us allow them a space to breathe, as in this situation. I really do hope that good sense would prevail and that something would be done in the interest of the people who would be affected by the rollout of this bill, of this act, And the people who would be affected most, I believe, are those persons who are working hardest, who do not have other means, who do not have family support, people who don't have the amount of money that, and as I'm saying this, Sheldon, I heard a government ad this morning, and I thought, this is so insensitive. The ad was talking about the introduction of a tax, and that's quite okay. You need to educate people. But in the ad, the person is saying they don't understand why people making a whole set of hullabaloo about a tax that is introduced. It is just $10 more. And you see, that's the problem right there. because some people don't know what $10 means to some people. Some people don't understand that $10 might be all somebody has. Some people don't understand that some people may not even have $10. And sometimes we have to step back and not consider things from the perspective of our own personal position. So when the individual said in the ad, it's just $10 more. Well, hello, there are many people who cannot say that. There are many people who can say it's just $10 more. There are some people who might say it's all that I have. And so again, I am appealing, Sheldon, that some consideration be given to these people. I just get the feeling it's like we just brush this thing aside. You know, people complain, people have concerns, and I just get the feeling, note what I said, and I repeat myself, I get the feeling that we just brush this thing aside. Let's move on. What next? I want to appeal to those in authority again. Let us hear from these people again. Let us sit down with them. Let us go through the acts with them. Let us make sure they understand the implication. Let us not just wait to say, well, you have a fine of $100,000. I mean, come on. I mean, this is serious. This is serious. Let us make sure that we find a way to help the people who need help to get through this. Mind you, there are some people who may not need the help. There are some people who may have, and they might be able to do. But I'm telling you, there are very many people who are in a position where they cannot even do the police record, $60.
And
there are very many people who are just setting up their little business. They just find a little space downstairs their house or outside somewhere, and they're just operating, trying to make ends meet. Of course, let's lift the standard, but let us help them to lift the standard.
Of course, because I think many of the people who are in the sector now are saying they feel blindsided by this. That here it is, it's been passed, the SRO has been passed, the regulations have been passed, and you're being told no, you have to do all of this, complete all of this by the end of June. And even the process of being given a CVQ, a Caribbean vocational qualification, due to prior knowledge, being assessed on your prior knowledge, so you've been cutting hair since you're young and so on, is going to take at least 3 to 6 months to be able to get to the end of that process if you are seeking to get a CVQ, which you would have to get to be licensed here. So I don't understand why the rush, and it needs to be done within 2 months. And really and truly, in most instances, people will not be able to complete that process in 2 months. In most instances.
Let us consider, Sheldon, a barber who is operating in St. Andrews, St. David's, in St. John's, any part of Grenada. And people rush to him because he can, I have one of my sons sometimes want to go all the way to St. George's to say that's his personal barber, right? Now, some people love to trim by particular people for particular reasons. Now, let us just, for argument's sake, assume that you are operating a barber shop in St. George's, and you have your customers, people who are your loyal customers. You never went to school to be a barber, but you have a skill that you've acquired. You gifted, right? And the NTA decides to assess you and says to you that you cannot be granted a CVQ in this area because you lack some competencies. Do you know what that means? That means that you will not be able to get the license after June. You will not be able to open your barber shop anymore, and you will now have to do additional courses practically and theoretically to ensure that you have all the competencies required to open back your shop and offer that service. And note that I said theoretically and practically. Now, I've worked with people directly who did CVQ certification. And I can tell you, it is not just walking through the park. I can tell you, it is not just walking through the park. It is not just showing up and writing an exam. And so, again, I am saying because of that, what about the barber? And I'm just thinking now, what about the barber who did not finish secondary school, but was just very gifted and opened his shop 20 years ago and is doing very well? How is he going to respond to now having to do these courses, having to do this preparation to get a CVQ? Of course, he should do it. But are we going to rush him and say, immediately you have to do this and you have to get that, and we don't care, you just have to do it? I'm saying, let us be patient to understand that this is a big step we are making. Mm-hmm. It's a major move we are making. And so we should have done far more preparation of these people in the last few months. We should have sat them down, psychologically prepare them in the last few months to ensure that there's a readiness and there's an acceptance that, hey, we are now ready to move. It is not too late. It is not too late. I believe what should be done, parish by parish, there should be an outreach program, meeting with all these people. Don't ask them to come down to the trade center. Come up to St. Mark's, come up to St. Patrick's. Let's meet with them within their space. Let us put them, sit down, have a conversation with them, explain and make sure they understand why this has to be done. And let us work with them. Let us work with them. Extend the grace period. And let them comfortably make that transition that is so necessary, because we all want better standards. We all want better standards. But let us not do it in a way that we lose out on the benefits, that people are so affected that at the end of the day, they cannot bounce back. Because you know what? If that guy that we spoke about, and we said it was you, if you cannot function for the next 6 months because you cannot get your license, people who are coming to your shop, they're going by the guy down the road. And if they get comfortable with the guy down the road, guess what? By the time you get your CVQ and you come back to open your shop, I'm not sure if they are going to be coming back. Mm-hmm. The law says you need a license to function, and we agree that you should have a license to function. But we are saying the process, be a little more accommodating with the small window that people have to be prepared. Let us be a little more accommodating, a little more understanding, a little more caring based on the circumstances and the situation.
Yes, of course. And folks, we're speaking here with the Honorable Emlin Pierre, and we're speaking a bit about the Allied Health Practitioners Act. And there are certain pacts, again, some folks tend to leave with the impression that, oh, we don't want this, or we're trying to block something, or that sort of thing. But no, for instance, there's a section there that says the tattoo artists and body piercing people should not pierce anyone under the age of 18 without the written permission of the parents. And that's something I know everyone will agree with. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. But outside of those regulations,
I read the entire law, the document, Sheldon, and I think it is an excellent start.
Yeah.
It is an excellent start, whereby both the client and the service provider would be protected. Both the client and the service providers would benefit from this. But I'm saying the rush that we are seeing, we passed it already, so just comply. That attitude is not going to be helpful for the situation ahead of us. Mm-hmm. We cannot afford a situation where people are denied an opportunity to provide a service because they're forced to fit into a program that is so tight, a program that is not considerate of their situation. And that is the appeal. Not anything to do with the law. We are talking about the time frame that you are providing to these people. And note I said, I want to repeat that again. Between the passage of the law and now, there are some people who have not even received that information yet. There are some people who heard it last week for the first time, and they are wondering how they are going to do this within the short space of time.
Yes, and look, I'm sure some people don't even understand. After you're qualified, for instance, when you are renewing, because you have to renew every 3 years, so you have to pay your fees and renew, but at every 3 years, you also have to prove that you've upgraded during that space of time. So within the 3 years, you must go back into the classroom again. You must go back and
Right.
be assessed
so that
again.
is
And you have
what
to
is called continuous.
yeah, you have to provide the
continuous
information.
development.
Yeah.
Which means that if you get a license today, you can't feel that you're guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that you have that license for the rest of your career, the rest of the period for which you want to provide that service. So it's a whole change in lifestyle, put it that way. Because some of these people have not been to a classroom, have not been doing any studies, in some cases 20 years or more, maybe since they left school. And so we are introducing something that would require a major change. And so because it requires such a major change, it also requires us to be patient, and it also requires us to provide support. And as I said, financially, I believe that we can provide some window of opportunity where people can access, whether it's a grant, whether it's a very soft loan that they have a reasonable period in which they can, some may not need it, but there are some who will need it, right? So it means that you have the financial obligations that you have to meet in a short time. You need help with that. But you also need the education. You need to understand what is required, what you're getting into, right? What is likely to happen after you receive your license. So it's not just about having the license. How do you keep the license?
Yeah.
It's another story all by itself.
Because they have a set of rules that the barbers and hairdressers, etc., have to follow. If a confusion break out in your place, you could run the risk of losing your license. Huh? If a confusion break out in your place, or a client makes a report on you and says that, oh, you was bad talking them or something like that, any simple thing like that could cause you to lose your license. And there's so many rules that have to be followed.
Right.
And some of them I
that
don't
is
even think
what-
are realistic.
And that is why it's so important that we understand that this is not a very simple matter. I get the feeling that we just kick it on, let's move on. It is not simple. This is a major change. Major transition has to take place, right? Even the way that we set up those shops, the standard in terms of operation, there would be requirements, and people must know, how can I lose my license, right? How can I lose? What are the things that can cause me to lose my license, that I can go home and not be able to come to my shop tomorrow, right? What are some of those things? If people are not educated about it, it's going to be difficult for them to function. And I know you may have some listeners who say, oh, well, why don't they educate themselves? I mean, come on, yes, we know they can. But we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
One, to let people's voices be heard. And I know the current government has always been championing that, letting people's voices be heard. That is very critical. So we've heard them, right? We've heard them. Let us now take some action to demonstrate that we've actually heard them. They are crying out. So that's the first thing. I heard people expression, and some people had a problem with people expressing their concern. And I'm saying, are we developing a culture where we don't want people's voices to be heard anymore? Right? So it's about hearing people, listening to their views. And anytime you raise those issues, somebody will tell you, oh, well, that happened in 1943, so why we can't do it now? Well, of course, every government has a responsibility to do better than the previous one. So let's just do better than the previous one.
Yes,
End of
indeed.
story. Let's just do better than the previous one. Because we have a way of everything we don't get right, well, the other government didn't do it right. So that makes us eligible to not do it right. And this is crazy. If we continue to operate like that, we're going to find out that we're going to take our country way back, way back to a place where we don't want to be. Right?
Of course. All right, Minister. I know that you step out from something to make that call. I don't know if you have any closing words on this issue. And I hope that folks have listened carefully to what you said, because I'm looking at the chat and there are many people inside of there that this is actually the first time they're hearing about it. This is the first time that they're actually hearing about it. One individual is asking here via WhatsApp, what about the persons who dropped out of school? They can't really read or write properly and they have to be accredited. What takes place with them? How do you deal with those individuals as well? And that's an important question, because we do have folks that did not complete even primary school, but they started doing hair or cutting hair and so on, and they have their business. How it's just it's difficult to explain, but it's hard on the poor and vulnerable people again, because some of these people, they could barely pay right now rent for where they are, and they have to face this. So I don't know if you have any closing comments on this issue. Hello?
Right. So I think I heard closing.
Yeah.
The feedback is a little bit distorted now, but
I'm not sure
think
why.
you're probably asking me for a closing comment because
Yeah.
I didn't hear your previous statement. I just want to appeal on behalf of all of these people who are affected by this issue. Many of us access a lot of the services that they provide, right? Many of them, they provide, and I'm saying this and I'm thinking of a young lady in my constituency. I mean, I actually accessed the service she was providing because I was just so wanting to support her with the effort she was making. And it's a young lady, came through the Imani program, very ambitious, wanting to do something for herself. Some young man in the community would have made a space available in his shop, and she's now operating and providing a service. I know her very well. And so I know how this would affect her. And I'm saying we got to be sensitive. We got to be sensitive to the situation, right? So I'm not even going to go into who finished school and who didn't finish school and what they have and what they don't have. I'm just going to use the word, let's be sensitive to the situation. Let us hold people's hand and help them to reach to where we want to take them, right? Some might be able to run and get there quickly. Some might need a hand, and you may need to walk with them. They may fall. I'm even saying this remembering a group of young men, and I'm quite sure you remember that, a group of young men who wanted to do a CVQ in general construction.
Yes, I remember them.
This was the very first
experience
I had with the CVQ program. Excellent program. Everybody knows I champion the cause of that program. I would promote it anywhere. But let us just be real. Some people, as we normally say, would be able to ace it through. And there are some people, they would need 9 months. They would need 6 months. They would need months of hand-holding, right, to get them to that place where they need to go. And let us get to the reality of the situation. There are some people who cannot handle it, Sheldon.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people who just cannot handle it. I have seen it firsthand, right? And so this is a situation where we really need to be sensitive. Yes, we're assessing prior knowledge and skills, but that does not mean that there's no need for theory. There's no need for me to learn things theoretically. And I'm saying, let us not put people in embarrassing situations. Let us work with them. Let us put the systems and the mechanism in place. Let us make an arrangement with certain service providers in different areas that they are able now to give whatever support is necessary to help these people where their dignity would be protected. I just want to make that appeal tonight. For what it's worth, Don't look at the messenger. If you look at the messenger, then you're going to think this makes no sense. Just look at the message and confirm the message with those persons who are going to be affected. Because this is real. I know some people may not understand it, but it is real. I am thinking of some people who I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is going to have a serious impact on them. And I'm saying we can help them through. We can guide them through. We can support them through for what it's worth. That's my contribution tonight, Sheldon.
All right. Thank you so very much, Minister. Well, you see, bad habits, eh?
Don't get yourself in any trouble now. Some people, that's a big offense.
Really, I know, huh? Believe me, I know. But the phone lines are always open to you. And we want to bring you in on Zoom. We're working on getting the Zoom back up and running properly, and we can have you in via Zoom with us very soon again. And we thank you so much for once again being the last time you were on with us, you were speaking on behalf of the vendors in the Grenville area. This time now speaking on behalf of all of the allied healthcare practitioners, be they barbers or nail techs or be they hairdressers and so on, masseuses, whatever. Here it is again, you're speaking on their behalf. And we want to thank you for continuing to do that wonderful work.
No problem. Have a good evening and special night to all of your listeners.
All right. Thank you so very much. Yes, indeed, folks. And we have been speaking there to the Honorable Emlin Pierre. Yeah, we're speaking to the Honorable Emlin Pierre.
Endorsing the Honorable Emlin Pierre for the South.
Oui, Papa. Some people they couldn't wait the phone. Ooh, the phone ringing already.
This lady, she's like a mother to me.
We've got a caller. Good night.
Hi, good night, Shaban. How are you?
Hey, I'm quite fine. How are you?
Great. Listening to the conversation is like, there's no provision for people who have natural talent. That is what I come into.
No, you
because
can.
There are some people who actually just naturally shall not know how to cut someone, say, or do someone's just from a natural age. Grew up with that. That is his, you know. So where do that person go? That person don't have much, like way of going to class or learn. That is, whatever they have done is on their own. So and that person is currently, let me say, is helping themselves. It's not a burden to no one. But then you're going to force that person into something which they have no knowledge of. And then what happened to the family? What happens to the kids that they have? How are they going to feed them? Yeah?
Well, what I could say to you is this.
Hold on. Some of the people is naturally talented.
No, what? That's what I'm trying to respond to you on that one. Now, they would have to pay a fee and be assessed by the National Training Agency. And it's called Assessment of Prior Learning. In other words, you didn't go to a school, you didn't go to a class, but you naturally know what to do and you've been doing it for a while. And so there is what you can call, you can be certified with a certificate assessment of prior learning. They could assess you. All right? Yeah. So they're going to check things like your evidence, your personal statements from people who you have done work for, and so photographs of what you have done before, invoices from jobs that you have done, things like case studies, transcripts, authenticating reports, and so on. All of these things, video and audio recordings, all of that you have to put together in order to be assessed. And there are many other things. I just mentioned one or two. All right? And you have to put that in together. You have to put together a portfolio, and that has to be presented. There's a whole long process that has to take place in relation to that. That definitely cannot be finished in 2 months.
Yeah, but it is so sad. They could safely say that NNP was easygoing. Like, leave these people in a sense that give them the opening, give them the push, encourage them, by side, eventually, in somewhat develop. It's like they're not becoming a burden to no one. They are helping themselves. Now, if you go there and joke this now, that is going to be more problem. Yes, if we want to see development, but we could do it other way around. Who is there? Leave them to a certain extent. But if you want to develop other minds, then probably implement it through other way. But those who are actually in it already and making a livelihood, let them continue. There's nothing wrong in it. The person is helping themselves. Why you cutting off the hand for the person who is helping themselves? I find so that's that's not right in a sense.
Okay, my brother.
Yeah. So what about the people who will have have trade skill? Are you going to go behind them as well? Yeah,
Well,
there are many masons in trade. Probably there are some who are expert. Yeah, highly qualified and trained in good institutions, but there are some who actually just learn naturally, and they may have more sense than the person who actually learn, in school, because they have been doing that long before.
All right.
No, this thing is not that easy. I think you should, before certain things have been said and done, they should really sit down and think hard and deep before taking any drastic, measures towards those things and all. All right?
All right, my brother. All right. What I want to say in relation to this is that, yes, you can be assessed on what you know before, but there is a fee. And I think one of the things here that's going to be causing some problems for some of the people in the field is that where are they finding the money to be able to complete this process? Remember us just speaking about things like they have to make video and audio recordings and get all of this information together, which is going to take time and which is going to take money. They have to get the police certificate of character and all these other things. Those things are going to take time and they're going to take money. And where are these folks going to get the money from? We have a caller online. Good night.
Hi, good night, Shalom.
Hi, good night.
How are you doing?
I'm quite fine.
I'm watching the program and I feel one way that can happen is just to go ahead and certify everybody that is in the trade now. Anybody that is coming in after will now have to go through that process where they can be certified. But I believe the better way to do it now is to just go ahead and just certify everybody right across the board.
But what criteria are you using to certify? Just that they're operating? Because remember, what they're giving them is a CVQ. It's a Caribbean Vocational Qualification, which means that that can be used in another island as well. Would you therefore take the chance of allowing somebody who is really not a good hairdresser, doesn't understand anything much about it, or not a good barber, to be certified by Grenada for a CVQ, go to another island and something happens with them? Or they say, well, Grenada's CVQ is of a low quality. While yes, it may be an idea to seek to certify everybody just all over, there are dangers in doing that way.
Yeah, but I believe what you would need to do is look at the amount of years of experience, maybe with 15 years, because 15 to 20 years or so should be one of the criteria.
And then one of the things I'm thinking about, what about the hairdresser that has her place and she has 2 or 3 people working with her? Because some, they have a place and they have someone who is doing nails. They have one who specializes in braids or so on, and then different things like that. They have to be certified themselves, and then each of the persons that they have inside there then have to go through the same process and be certified as well to work in that place.
Wow. Makes it
So the money you have to find for you, you might end up having to find for the others as well, or help them find that money to do that, which is why we were saying, and Cami keeps saying it all the time too, that what they should do and should have done is probably place some money, and I can tell you that's what the NNP would operate to this, place some money in the GDB and tell everybody, look, you can apply for those funds. That's
soft loan.
Right, a soft loan there. Yeah, no,
Cushion the whole
no,
effect
no,
of the
no.
thing.
I don't think nobody would have need $2,060,423.77. I don't think anybody would have need that, but they might have need a look at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 to be able to be fully certified. So I think that the time should be extended and that funds should be placed in the GDB so that these barbers and hairdressers and so who really don't have the financial, they don't have that space, the financial space to be able to say, well, I'm going to be certified and I'm going and get all this stuff together, that they can then do that with a very low interest rate. Yeah, it's not a grant, it's a loan, but a very low interest rate that these individuals would be able to access.
Okay, all right.
And most of them have equity anyway in the equipment and so on. So if you're looking for equity, you could say in the equipment, but it's a very small loan. So I think that and all could be an approach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But Kola, I also think, as you're on the line, I also think, and one of the persons online was speaking about Carnival. And it started me thinking that it seems as though the rush to do this is to have everybody certified before the Carnival season. Because if you're saying in June, at the end of June, what happens? You have graduations and all those kind of things. Hairdressers, barbers, just be a bit busy around then.
It's a busy period. But
Yeah,
if you go
and then after
back
that is
to
Carnival.
a period where when everybody were trans just been certified by let's say the driver's license, and then there was a period where they gave them everybody that was driving maybe 10 or 20, 25 years were given comprehensive license until they changed the whole system. But I mean, there was a period when they was given a comprehensive license who were qualified and people that were competent in the field. But you're also saying not only the hairdressers that will be affected and the barbers, but
it's a
look
lot.
at the man that is doing the other trades, like the carpentry and whatnot. So you are telling me then
No, for
this
this,
would have happened, then you would move on to this little
I believe.
craftsmen and whatnot that is.
Listen, the entire thing here is, in my belief, the government is trying to widen the tax base. And
Tax
from
base, okay.
the information that I've picked up, the intent here is after they have gone through this process and therefore they're registered and everything, and you have all the information now, so that you know every hairdresser and barber in the country, that they may lower the corporate tax, the threshold for the corporate tax, so that barbers and hairdressers and so may qualify and end up having to pay corporate the corporate tax and the income tax and so on. They may lower the threshold a bit so that it could capture all this group of these people. Because remember, if every barber, hairdresser, nail tech and all these other categories that they've named, if every one of them have to pay corporate income tax and these sort of things, they're going to be bringing in a couple million a year.
Yes.
So my belief is that that's the next move, to lower the threshold.
Already, because I mean, if you look at persons that is self-employed and has registered their small businesses and stuff like that, I realize the threshold, which was $36,000 and over, which means that he's going to move lower down. So which means that you will engulf just about everybody that is self-employed in one sense or the other.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's the move. I believe that sooner they'll be coming for people like the barbers and so on. Not the barbers, the plumbers. Yeah, they'll be coming at them, that they'll have to be certified at a particular level and so on, to be able to operate. And so we know electricians already have to be certified and so. But don't think that they ain't gonna touch them too and ask them for something else. But you have the electricians, the plumbers, all the different categories. I think are going to be brought in one by one, not under allied health, but other acts that are going to be put in place to broaden the tax base. I think this administration, instead of creating employment and investment opportunities in Grenada, what they've been focusing on is CBI, and trying to squeeze the poor man. That's the two things that they've been looking at to make money in this country. And I think that's really unfair. I'm hearing talk of increasing the property tax as well. I hope what I'm hearing is not true, but I'm hearing talk of that as well.
Yes, okay.
Yeah? All right, caller.
Yeah, bro. I think good night, but bless you on the...
All right, and you can call back if it's anything. No problem.
Points, family. So,
All right.
blessed night to you.
Same to you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
And folks, I just wanted to let you all know this as well, because I saw this in my email a little earlier. Now, the vendors who are over at the stadia, you all ain't going to be able to sell there. I think as of Saturday, I think you all have to go over to the market square. All right. I don't know if they tell you all where the market square is. I don't know which part of the market square you're going. I don't know if they gave you all your space and so. I don't know if they had a meeting with you all. I don't know. I'm speaking blind here. All I'm saying is that this came out this afternoon, that the Ministry of Infrastructure, Public Utilities, Civil Aviation and Transportation wishes to inform the general public that with effect from May the 5th, 2023, there will be no vending at the Grenada National Stadium. All right, the general public is informed that all vending will return to the St. George Market from the said date. The ministry apologizes for any inconvenience caused. The Ministry of Infrastructure asks the general public for the continued cooperation and support in this transition process. Now, nobody is saying that they should leave the vendors over at the stadium. The stadium is not for vending. So nobody is saying that they should leave the vendors over at the stadium. Remember, that was supposed to be and has been a temporary measure. But I just want to know if they spoke with the people and let the people know and they know where they're going and so on. We have a call online. Good
Hello,
night.
good night, Mr. Scott.
How are you, my dear?
Well, I just listening to a lot what's already going on. Good night to Miss Emlin Pierre, Minister Pierre, good night. I want to give you a little advice, Miss. When you go, if you happen to go back to cabinet, please beg the Prime Minister and the rest of ministers to ease up these poor people. You know what's going to happen, Mr. Scott? Some of these people will end up going and drink rum now and smoke more marijuana, and they have a family to take care of. And a lot of them will get frustrated and commit suicide. And it's not right.
Well, the tax high on rum, you know. They increase the tax on the rum so they go pay more.
Speak out for these young people. Speak out for these young minds. Because they will get frustrated. And they go do a lot of wrong things when they cannot bring home money for the girlfriend and the mother and the brother to help poor people. They will do a lot of wrong things in this country. I'm begging all the mothers and fathers in this country, NDCI, MNP, get right. I just speak out for this young mind. They will get frustrated and do a lot of wrong things. Say I tell you that. Because when some of them can't get work, what you want them to do? And they're dedication to buy pampers and milk. What you expect them to do? To go and rob people? Some of them, they mightn't be strong enough to go through that because the struggle is real out here. The struggle is real. All right. Shalanda is not no little thing matter. That is serious thing, you know.
Of course it is.
With the young minds, yeah, people, because I just go all in Grenville and wash me. I just go all up in Grenville because me hairdresser for years already washing me. I don't go by nobody else. So what will happen to these people and them? They have rent to pay. They have rent to pay, you know. They have water bill to pay. What's wrong with these people and them? And you have women in the cabinet. All you have to stop that and have mercy on the people. Are you not supposed to be hurting people like that? Are you supposed to be creating work for them? They're creating jobs so that they could buy food to put on the table for the children. And some of these young people, they are their mother to give a little money when they wake up to buy their little food for Sunday. What's wrong with all you? Course go take all you, know. Bright go take you all. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Deacon Mitchell, my name is Camille Theresa Scott. I am begging to you, sir. Try and change that law you passing there for the people have to wash here and do the nails. That is poor people. Poor Grenadians, sir. These not people have money. And how much years they give them in jail? The lady say?
5
is it
years.
regular?
Up to 5
Or
years.
you want to be an next jail? That is madness in Grenada? That is not right. Papa God put a hand in this country.
And
And tell them, I don't know how true it is.
Mm-hmm.
I see on the phone there tonight, my live, they kill a man in Karaku.
Yeah,
I don't know how true it is, Sheldon.
we did speak of
You
that.
understand?
Yeah, we did speak
So
of
you
it
can find
earlier.
out it's true, let me know.
No, it is true. We did speak
I'm
of that earlier.
begging all mothers and fathers, you all speak out. Ask them that they in government to have mercy on these young people, these young minds. They might never take the stress, you know. They want to put you up in the neck.
We hope
Mr.
not.
Deacon Mitchell, wherever you there in Dubai, wherever you there, sir.
I think
My
he's
name
back.
is Camille Scott. I call on the behalf of the poor people in this country. Please, change this law, sir. Or the whole cause problem in Grenada with these young people. All right, have a good. And Sheldon, before you go, allow me please to just
Go
my
right ahead.
condolences to the best family, to to Dexter Best and Sean Best and Leslie Best and them for the passing of the sister, Miss Odette Best Campbell. My sympathy to the Chase family, she aunt and uncle, Leslie Best in Grenada. My sympathy to them. Have a good night, Grenada.
Cammy,
Yes.
just before you
Tell
go.
us a good night.
No, just before you go. Good night to
And
you,
don't give
Master.
him no advice because if
Cammy.
you see you give him an advice and he go in thing and talking.
Cammy, before
Pastor
you
Jude,
go,
don't give them no advice, Sheldon.
You don't
They
listen
want to
in.
kill you. Don't give them advice.
You're not
They're pressing
listening.
button and attacking you. Don't give them no advice. All right. Good night.
All right,
Grenada.
Cammy. I was trying to tell you say good night to Matthew, but you see you ain't taking me on. You call back. Yeah, I was saying say good night to Matthew and Patty. All right, we have a caller on the WhatsApp. I wonder why the WhatsApp is moving so slow these days. Yeah, it's sticking. We have a caller on the WhatsApp. Hello, good night.
Hello, good night, brother Scott. How are you doing?
I know that voice. That voice sound like it from up on the north side of the island.
You have it correct.
I make the voice. How are you, sir?
Not so bad, not so bad. I'm calling in because I think it's a very interesting topic there, tonight. I would like to say kudos to Sister Pierre for coming and give her thoughts on the idea. But I just want to touch on something.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have no problem because I'm somebody who have been advocating from the start of the National Training Agency and stuff like that. And it is a good thing. But again, it's how you go about doing it. And when you're doing it again, you have to check on other things. We have an institution which is the only Grenada own tertiary institution in here in Grenada here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they should be spearheading that. Because we have the young minds that moving from secondary school, getting into there. They had a program they started from secondary school trying to do some of those things. And you come into the MCC because you would need a lot of help.
Yeah.
See, as we're talking there, we're talking here, you're talking about people that is established so long, a wide circle of people. They may not have an idea how to go about doing this. Some might, a lot of them might not. Now, if you have the students from TAMCC going through that, so in light now you have to have an issue of whether probably you do a 2-tier program where they're doing the associate degree, but at the same time they can go about getting the competency standards, right? So they can get a CVQ, which is good, and people have to look at the good side of it also, because as you mentioned, if you get your CPQ, anytime you move, wherever you move within the Karaku, you can use it to get a job. And in some countries are requiring, like Trinidad, and then you need to have it, because there was instances of Grenadians who live in Trinidad working and everything like that, and they had to come back to Grenada to do it, and then to go back, get it covered, get it registered and everything, and to go back to work. So it's not a bad thing. But we have to lead by example, and we have to use our lone tertiary education institution to start doing that. It's as you said. I just think all of a sudden it's become a rush. It should be done in steps. Take your time. Get those done. You have the essential ones. You talk about plumbing. We have to look at it like that because we have a lot of foreign companies here. Most of them would not employ somebody until you have a certificate, because again, you have to look at insurance and those kinds of things like that. So it is a wonderful thing, but I think we have to, we have to take this thing seriously and have to go with it step by step, and to make sure. The other issue again around that is that the time it takes to happen. Our system is still in the old dated. We're talking about going digital, but it's very slow in the making. So a lot of these things have been done with a lot of paper, and it just takes too much of time. It's tedious. I'm telling you, because I'm part of. I was part of that, and so we need to start improving those foundation things first before we start coming and try to put it on the ground, because we're gonna end up in a lot of chaos, and You know, you live a lot of hot feelings, and you would not get, you know, what you really want from it. You
Yeah.
know, so I'm here to say that it's a very good thing, but I think it must be looked at and reconsider, and to start putting things in place, you know, to assist people. I mean, I know there are some people in the garage, men and stuff like that, had reached out to me, and then I was willing to assist them, you know, to put things together, you know, and you have to help these people. You have to help them because, again, as you said, I myself had taught at Nulo, and I always boast about that. I taught in Nulo. The children, they didn't, in those times, didn't have no subjects, right? To them, the system that we had, it didn't make any sense to them, and so they were disruptive in school because it was boring, you know. And there was one individual guy, I always talked about him. He was disruptive, and I realized that he's quick on the block, and he wants to do something, and he have it naturally in his hands. So when I teach the basic, I just leave him. When I teach them how to test, you know, the components, and I'm talking about electronics and repairs, and I will just, when the others trying to catch up, I'll just put him on a television or something and say, hey, I have that problem in that, so you go and find that, and before half an hour he will come back and get it. And today I'm so proud of this gentleman that he has gone beyond measures. You understand? And you know, so we have to be careful about the fact that we're going back into this old time thing, that academias are people only who read books and do that. I mean, the world is changing. Skill is taking over. Even Google themselves now, you could have how much PhD you want, but they'll give you something to do. If you could do it, you get a job. And we have to go in that. Yes, we have to teach the theory, but we have to look at different methods of getting it across, so that the people who naturally think, they'll learn by doing, and at the same time understanding that written structures have to take place, because you may need to do reports and stuff like that. But then again, why is it that we don't get people to put formats in place? These things are formatted so that people can use and just fool a farmer, you know, and so forth. Because not everybody will be natural in writing a report, you know. But if you have systems in place where they can fool something and have somebody doing it for them, assisting in doing it, all that is gaining and production and making us, you know, go further in life, you know, rather than going the whole thing that you had to cram something and know something, everything. No, most of these things has been learned by practice, by doing, and you get better and better. And some people are just naturally good in it. But yes, you need certification. It is important. But I think it's just a rush. As you said, you alluded to the fact that probably it's a form of tax base and whatever. Nothing wrong with tax base, but it has to, because people need to pay tax. But you can't put something down the truth, as you said. You know, you have to give people time in order to understand, you know, the benefits of all these things, and so that it can be of ease to them. The previous caller talked about the fact about probably put some money into the Grenada Development Bank, and so that people could access the loans to assist them with that. And I think that was also a wonderful idea. So all in all, I want to say that I think it's a good thing, and I would like people to realize it is a good thing. But at the same time, we need to help and go down and help and do the work that needs to be done to get these people up to standard. All right, and at the same time, while we're doing that, parallel to that, those that come in from the school should be going straight into it, so they themselves can help, you know, because you're going to need a lot of people to help. And as I said, we have a lot of young people that need jobs. So if they do it from the college, secondary school, college, and so that they themselves could be, you know, given a little task or little jobs to assist, go around and assist, especially in the garages, the barber shops and stuff, because you're going to need people to help them. You're going to need people to help them. You know, so that's my take.
All right. Thank you very much, yes. Bello, in case anybody make out your voice there. Thank you so very much for your call, brother. And don't make it your last one. That's your first of many. Yeah. All right. Yes. Thank you so very much, sir.
I'm listening and can contribute when I can.
Okay, thank you so much.
It's all about building Grenada, you know?
Of course.
And that's it.
All right. Thank you so very much, sir. Yes, indeed. Yeah, that was Bello. Yes, Mr. Victor Philip. Nice. Yes, it did 4407377. But before I go to the phone line. And before I go back to the phone line, there's something I wanted to run by you. I don't know if you all are aware that all of the security companies that were hired by the government of Grenada they had their contracts terminated. So I don't know if you all are aware of that. So in other words, the people with the contracts like for government facilities, not statutory facilities, but government facilities are having their contracts terminated. So the security guards who are working at different government facilities, everybody, all, are being sent home. And that's the information that I've received, that already letters have been delivered to the various security companies, and that they're being sent home, and that an entire new structure is being put in place where that is being done through the Ministry of National Security. Some new structure is being put in place. So it's being used as the excuse now to get rid of all those security companies that are there. So just consider all the people who are working, like for instance, you're talking about the people who are working security at the health facilities around the country. You're talking about the people who are working security at the ministerial complex and other facilities like that. And already hearing names of people who line up to get a contract now through the Ministry of National Security, are hearing things line up. Yeah, we have a call online. Good night.
Sheldon, good night. I call back.
Yeah, you
Sorry,
see?
Matthew and Patty, good night. Good night. And Sheldon, that man talk, nice talk. Why so they give them a month to do all what they have to do to get this document?
Rush
Why they
again.
didn't tell them when they send it, tell them they go how to do it? Why they go help them, they go put out money there for them to do what they have to do to get a license, to get the police record? Why they didn't tell them, sir? You talk so nice what you could do, what they could do. Why they didn't tell them? We're going to put some money in the bank for you have to get all your bank statement and to do what they have to do. You know it is when you have poor person and you're depending on one client to come and cut the hair. When they get that money to buy the pampers, you send it to a good thing, and you say, I don't know much. You say, I don't have all the burning Grenada. But think about poor people that depending on when somebody come and cut they buy a pampers for the woman to put on the child. Yeah, poor people, they cannot afford it, sir. They cannot afford it. Why they didn't tell them they go help them? When they want them to do that, they go help. That's why they have to tell them, we're going to help y'all to get it, and you give them a month. 1 month you give them to do all of that.
Kami, we go talk.
Yes,
I want to play something before I go.
Because I know what happens when you wake up in the morning.
Don't
you
get
got
upset.
milk to give your child some tea, or you got sugar so you make some tea. You see?
I'm running out of time.
Kami,
Kami, running out of time.
Yes.
I'm running out of time and I want to play something.
all right,
All right,
okay.
no problem.
Let me go.
Yes, indeed. No, I really wanted to play this before I leave tonight, and I realize I have 9 minutes remaining. But I'm saying this in the context, and I'm just saying this, and I'm leaving it with you all tonight. We're not going to go deep into the discussion on these. I think I'm going to play all three tonight. So I'm not taking any other call right now. I just want to play this one first of all for you. And I want you all to listen carefully because the audio isn't perfect. The audio isn't perfect. I know some of them don't like to see certain people, but the audio isn't perfect. But I want you all to listen carefully to what is being said.
There was a question I wanted to raise with you before we went to break, which I'm going to raise now, and then we're going to move on to a couple of the global topics really, really quickly. But would CBI be funding your campaign in any way?
I don't know if CBI will be funding my campaign in any way. But I would say this, given what I've said about the CBI campaign, if there are persons in the CBI team who wish to donate to the National Democratic Congress, I will certainly accept the funds. As I've said, the CBI process is essentially the government's third avenue for generating revenue. And those funds, in my view, will truly be used to transform Grenada. But there are other aspects of the CBI program which we don't necessarily in a position or have the time to discuss, where I think we are underutilizing some of the skill set and some of the connections that some of the persons who become citizens of Grenada may be able to assist with helping solving some of the challenges that a small island state may face.
So you actually have not targeted or expect to target or expect to be offered any CBI campaign financing?
No, I'm not targeting, not do I expect that anyone would just hand funds over like that. As I said, it's the same approach that we would take to anyone who we seek funding from, which is if you believe in a better grid, if you believe in the things, if you believe in the things.
Now, what you've heard there was the then political leader of the NDC when asked if he is willing to take money from companies under the Citizenship by Investment program, say yes, if people under the CBI program are willing to provide money for the National Democratic Congress, he is willing to take it. Remember, this is the same individual who is saying there that nothing is wrong with taking money for the political campaign, the political party, from the CBI program. And this was an interview when he was recently elected as the leader of the National Democratic Congress. Right. That is when he was elected as the leader of that organization. And he was being asked that if CBI is funding his campaign. And you realize he was evasive because he said that he will, if it's being off, he will take money from CBI. Now, remember, the said individual is speaking there is still listed as of today as a CBI agent in the state of Grenada. The said individual who is speaking there is also the minister, the prime minister, who signs off on the citizenship of people who gain citizenship under the CBI program. As far as I know, the CBI program is still under his ministerial watch. And the committee that oversees the CBI program was appointed by the same individual who is a CBI agent. And here it is, they are on record saying that they have no problem taking money from CBI agents for their political party. And it's the same individual who went out, and we don't know in what capacity, if they went out as Prime Minister of Grenada, a CBI agent, or both Prime Minister of Grenada and a CBI agent, to have meetings in relation to investment opportunities out there in Dubai, and they were taken there by a CBI company. I'm saying that something ain't smelling right with that whole thing. We need to hear from the Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister does say, he said he does talk with the media and people must talk and things. No, let me play that for you all before. Yeah, I quickly running out of time, but let me play this one for you all. Right? He said he does engage with the media and things. Yeah, he engages with the media and all that.
You inspired your team. You inspired Grenadians. What do you think was responsible for this inspiration?
I think the fact that we are authentic. We are not acting. We're not faking. We're not playing. I am what I am. You know, I am who I am. You know, I tell you where I come from. I tell you what I've done. I tell you what we want to do as citizens together. And I subject myself to the press. I subject myself to taking questions from citizens, to answering, to going to see them in their homes, in the streets, in the villages. I'm real. And I think all of our candidates are real. We are not here to make believe. We are not here to say one thing and then do another. Yeah. And as I said in my acceptance speech when I was sworn in, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Yeah. If there are things happening that I don't like, and there's certainly a lot of things, for example, with the electoral process that I certainly don't like, and I was and will be highly critical of. But at the same time, if someone does a good job, notwithstanding those issues, then it's important for me to accept that they've done a good job, which is why I still praise the electoral office and the workers, because I'm under no illusion that it's hard work, and in many instances they don't have the resources to do a better job. So I think that authenticness, the honesty, the transparency, and the humility, I think resonated with Grenadians.
So folks, that was the then recently elected, in fact, it's swear me the day before or something. Yeah, he engages with the media. Yeah, he's real. They down to it. They does meet with people and so on. Yeah, that's still happening. We got a caller online who will be our last caller. Good night.
Hello, good night.
Hi, good night. How are you doing, sir?
Yes, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm quite fine.
Now, I listened to Mr. Andy Williams on Sunday and the Bob report. And I can tell you, I was not impressed with some of the statements that he made concerning the matter of the way he got the loan, how he get loan, and how many years now since he is getting loan from the Grenada Development Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the opposition have a lot of work, a lot of details to get into to find out. Because the things he said, he talk about his relationship with the ex-prime minister and how when they are in parliament, when they go for lunch, how the nice camaraderie they have together and the reception that they have together. I believe that we are in for a lot of trouble. These people are not going to listen to anything the opposition say, and they're going to turn everything to suit them. If you look at you just said that all the persons who had contract for security, they have been sent home, and a new organization will be born. I think that this government come to change things to suit them, and it don't seem that if anybody or anything could stop them. What they have in their mind to do, they are going to do it. So again, the opposition have a lot of questions to answer from these people. I don't know if you heard the Bob report, but I will be glad if you get a copy of the Bob report, and then you will study it and you give us some answers based on what was said by Mr. Andy. I will hope you to
I played that last night, actually.
Huh?
I played part of that last night.
Okay, well I didn't hear you last night.
Yeah, I did focus. I did play part of that last night. But, Cliff, I'll have to wrap because I have less than a minute remaining.
Right. But it is important because I'm telling you that we don't seem to be getting anywhere with these people.
Yeah. All right, my brother. Thank you very much for your call. Folks, that's all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. It has been wonderful being here with you. And yeah, so I still have one clip I ain't play yet. So we're going to play that one tomorrow night because we had to discuss some things. We want to know, you know, understand? We want to know because we're hearing, yeah, you're talking about does meet with the media and all. What happened with that between then and now? What has happened with that? All of a sudden, you're not meeting with the media and thing again. We want to know why, what is happening, what is going on. Eh? They're willing to accept money for the political party from CBI. Yet still they can't show the cabinet conclusion when they're accusing another political party of having a cabinet conclusion that's saying that money had to go to the political party. They forget them was on record saying they're going to take money for anyhow. Folks, that is all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. It has been wonderful being here with you in everything you say and do. Do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. We'll be back tomorrow night with more Talking Points just for you. Yes, Real will not be joining us tomorrow night, but we will be online. You can look for us online, Talking Points Grenada, on either YouTube or Facebook, and you will find us. All right, so from me and the entire Talking Points family, we say a special, glorious Grenadian good night to each and every one of you. Yeah, somebody tell me earlier I had to play this song. Somebody tell me I had to play that song tonight.
If you give respect, you will get respect. If you play with fire, you will get one also. Go and fight Saddam for oil. He should come here in Grenada, like he said, and take over. You see, we have a set of Satan, don't be going around pretending they love we. Robbing the poor in high society. Politicians don't care leading the crew. They don't care about me, they don't care about you. And right now, they so-called friend doing it too. But yesterday I went to clear my van. When I hear the price from the custom, I know that little black man is Satan. Just next door, I went to change money. When I see her, they rob that old lady, I know that banker man is Satan. When I see that chichi man minister threaten to